Have you ever struggled to update a web API URL across multiple environments during your deployments, or felt the headache of hard-coding values in your Power Platform solutions? Trust me, I've been there, and it's not fun. Imagine deploying a solution into production only to realize there's hard-coded values in your production environment and they are causing issues. You scramble to fix them, but only to lose hours and hours. This is where Power Platform environment variables come in to save the day. Hi there, I'm Tiyani, and welcome back to our Power Platform tutorial series. Today, I'll show you on how to transform your deployment using Power Platform environment variables to streamline your development process and deployment process, improve solution management, and save you from the headaches of hard-coded values. So why use environment variables, you may ask? Think of them as placeholders for variables that you constantly use in your code or in your environment, like connection strings and data configurations that you may want to use later on in your JavaScript or C#, or even in your Power Automate cloud flows. Unlike hard-coding these values, Power Platform environment variables let you configure them separately for each environment, like your development environment, QA, or production, having separate values but using the same variable name. This could reduce errors and simplify development or deployment to different environments, ensuring your solutions are robust and scalable. Let's dive right in. Before we jump in, hit that subscribe button, smash the thumbs up button, and share your thoughts in the comment section down below. Your support helps keep this content coming. First, let's head over to the Power Platform Maker portal. Click on Solutions. Click on New Solution. Let's give it a meaningful name. I'm gonna call this one Environment Variable Demo. Select the publisher and click on Create. Once it's created, it opens up our solution. Next, we'll head over to create an environment variable in the solution. Click on New and go to More. When you're on More, you'll see Environment Variable. Click on it. And let's give this environment variable a meaningful name. I'm gonna call this one Web API URL. You can give it a description to detail what it is all about. Choose the data type. In this case, it's just text. You can put in a default value or leave it blank. For now, I'm gonna give it a new value. Put in the URL for my API. If I want this variable to actually export with the value, I need to specify it so that it moves with the value. But if you do not want that, leave it to no. Since we don't want to do that when we import it to another environment, I'm gonna leave it to no. And click on Save. Now let us add a web resource to our solution. We're gonna go with the contact.js file. Click on Add Existing. Click on More, Web Resource, and let's search for contact. And there's my contact.js file. I'm gonna select it and add it to the solution. Once it's added to the solution, let's modify it. Click on the ellipsis, Edit. On the side pane, we've got the code view. For now, what we will need to do is to copy this code and put it in Notepad or Notepad++ or VS Code, whichever one you like. Let's head over to our code editor. In our code editor, I'm gonna add code to go and retrieve the environment variable value from our environment so we can use it in our JS file. Let's first create a function. This function is going to take in the context execution and also the name of the variable that we want. I see that Copilot has actually assisted us with the code, but for now, we're going to keep it to the basics. Our function takes a variable name and execution and calls the XRM Web API method retrieve multiple records to go in and fetch the data for our variable using the schema name of that variable. Once it's done executing successfully, it will bring us back the default value and also the current value. And for now, we're just gonna show an alert of those values. But we're not done yet because we are not executing our function anywhere. There is no trigger for it at the moment. Select the name, copy, and let's put it on the onload function. And instead of hard coding the value like what we did here, we're gonna put it as a variable value and also pass in the context. Now let's use the variable instead of hard coding it. Our file is ready. Let's copy everything and go back to Power Platform. On the code editor, select everything and paste the new code and click on Save. It is now saved. Let's publish everything. Once this is published, we're gonna head over to our app to see the results. The expected results that we want to see is when we open up a contact form, the URL from the environment variable will appear in an alert box. Let's head over to the app. And on the app, let's go to Contacts. On our contact view, let's open the first record. And there is our alert with our environment variables values for default and for current value. Let's click on OK. Now that our environment variable is linked to our form using our JavaScript web resource, let's deploy it to our production environment. Let's go back to the solution in the Maker portal. Select the solution and click on Export. Next. Next. You can choose whether you want it to be managed or unmanaged. Best practice is managed, but for demonstration purposes, I'm gonna go with unmanaged. The process is finished. Click on Download. Change the environment to where you want to import it to. In this case, it's our production environment. Click on Import and select the file. And there is our file. Select it, click on Open, click Next, and click Next. In this page, you'll see that it has a value. You can keep the value for the default or remove it to actually populate it with a newer value. I'm gonna change this to test-QA and click on Import. Our solution is now imported. We need to publish it to see the changes in our production environment. Click on Publish All. Now that our solution is published, we can go to the application to check the changes we made. Let's go and run the same tests we ran in our QA environment. Click on Contacts, select any of the existing records. There is our environment value in our production environment. And looking at our current value, we have the change we made when we were importing it. Click on OK. Now let's move on to the next demonstration to create a Cloudflow and demonstrate how to use an environment variable in your Cloudflow. On our solution, we need to create a new Cloudflow. Click on New, Automation, Cloudflow. For this demonstration, we're gonna go with Automated. Let's give it a meaningful name and select a trigger. I'm gonna select when a new row is added in Microsoft Dataverse and click on Create. So our trigger is created. Now we need to tell it which entity it needs to trigger on. Let's select Add or Modified. And let's select Contact as our table. The scope, let's put it on Organization. You can leave the columns and filters for now. Let's add a new step to initialize a variable with our environment variable value. Type in initialize, select initialize variable from the list. Let's change the data type. Since our environment variable value is text, we're gonna go with string. Let's give it a name and click on the value text box. On the pop-up menu that comes through, you will see a list of environment variables. Let's locate ours, web API URL, select it. This will populate the environment variable value. To test this out, let's save, test, manually, test. Let's go back to our app to make a change or add a change. Let's add a middle name for Alex. Save the changes. This should trigger our Cloudflow and give us the results. Let's go back to our Cloudflow. So our Cloudflow says it ran successfully. And there we can see 2 ticks, meaning that it was successful. It was triggered and we got a value. Expand, and as you can see, the value from the environment variable is now populated in our local variable. And there you have it. we've created an environment variable, used it in our JavaScript web resource, Cloudflow, and deployed it to a different environment. By using environment variables, you've taken a huge step towards a cleaner and more scalable and more professional grade solution. If you've enjoyed this in-depth walk, give us a like, share your thoughts in the comment section, and don't forget to subscribe for more tutorials. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.